Welcome to eDNA Tech. In the previous videos, we have connected the 8 LEDs and 8 push buttons. So, if you are clear about the connection of 8 LEDs with the Arduino UNO, then this video will be very useful because the 7 segments also contains 8 LEDs. So, it has a 8 LEDs that are connected in some way that they are made to display digital numbers or alphabets, particular alphabets. So you want to give a supply in a particular way to light the particular LEDs. So in this video we are going to see how to interface 7 segment with the Arduino UNO without using libraries. So the Arduino UNO can be connected to the 7 segment in the two ways because the 7 segment component can be connected in a two ways. It can be a common cathode or common anode. The manufacturer itself say this 7 segment is common cathode or common anode. Before buying a 7 segment, you should check whether it is a common cathode 7 segment or common anode 7 segment. There are only a small difference where common cathode is nothing but all the cathodes of the LEDs are tied together and connected to a ground. Here you can see this is the cathode of a single LED, and the cathode of one LED is connected with other, and they are tied together and connected to the ground. Then this is a 7 segment display. It contains 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 LEDs, and these 8 LEDs must be have a plus and minus. So all the cathodes should be common point which is connected to a ground connection while we are connecting with Arduino UNO. So if you want to glow a particular LED, like if you want to glow a, then you should give a 5 volt to this A pin, then the A will glow because the other side of the LED is already connected to a ground at a cathode point where common point is appear. So common anode is nothing but all the anode points are connected to 5 volt. That means inside this 7 segment all the anode points plus point are connected to a same pin named common pin. So if you give a 5 volt to this common pin, then all the LEDs of anodes of LEDs will be at 5 volt. Then if you want to glow this LED, then you should ground a particular pin, then you can glow this LED. If you want to glow A, then the A pin should be connected to a 0 volt or can be grounded. So this is the difference between a common anode and common cathode. So let me jump to our walkway simulator where we can analyze how common anode and common cathode occurs. So let me take a 7 segment display from the components list. Here you can check this whether it is a common anode or common cathode by connecting a common point to the 5 volt supply, then it is named as common anode connection. So if you give any of this pin with a ground connection, then it should emit LED. So I am now connecting a pin with a ground, so this LED should glow because already I connected a common pin to the 5 volt. All the LEDs anodes are connected to a 5 volt. If it is a common anode connection, then it should work. So here you can see this line glows. That means it is a common anode connections. So now we are going to write a program how to display a 7 segment with the help of Arduino Uno without using libraries. So it is similar as a before videos how we interfaced a 8 LEDs. So volatile, care, port B direction registers, and port D, because port B has only a 6 pins can be usable, so we need another 2 pin, so we are borrowing a 2 pins from port B. So we are going to use 2 ports here for our convenient. Port B and D can be used. So next we need a address of port B and port D direction registers, which is available in the data sheet. You can see in a data sheet. Here you can see the port B data direction register as 0x24 and port D 0x2A. So and we also need a output data register which is 2B and 25. So please make a note on it where we can use it in a program. So port B direction register as a value of 0x24 and port D as a direction register value of 0x0 2A. So next we want to denote our pins, whether we are going to use these pins, port pins, as a input or output. So we want to write a values in the register to know that we are using it as a output. So I am making a pins that we are going to use. So first we need to connect our sound segment, then we can have a program. So we are connecting A to pin number 2, A, B, and next C, and the D pin should be connected here, and E, F, and G. So this is a decimal pointer. You can also use a dot where you can have a fraction value or any other denotation of dot. So you can use this dot. So we are going to use port B is only 2 pin, so we want to enable these 2 pins. So 0x03, that means we are enabling only that pin as a out, that's 2 pins as a output. So the next thing we should write it for a port D also. So port D direction register, the value should be 0x F C, because these 2 pins are not used, so I am making it as a 0 and all other pins as 1. So the hexadecimal equivalent will be C and F. So if you have any doubts, watch my previous videos where I explained why I am writing these values clearly. So please watch previous videos for a better understanding. Alright, here and a similar way how to write a output. So we have used n number of times how to write a output. So we are going to use a port B data, so and also a port D. Port D data, and the address of the port B and port C data registers should be noted. So I already noted, so I can write it as 0x25 for port B, and for port D it is 2B. So if you have not known, please go through the data sheet where you can find the values of the data registers and data direction registers, and also input pin address. So read the data sheet. Where to find the values have been shown in a previous videos. You can watch the videos carefully and you can find how I found those values. So here we are going to write. So I'm making a variable here, so I can divide a 8-bit into two types, because the 8-bit should be divided and written to port B and port D. So I want to divide the value. How to divide means, so I am first making out data and I am precisely looking for only the two pins should be written here, the last two pins. So the 8-bit data is written like this. So if you are going to glow a value of 0, then what are the LEDs should be glown. So here you can see for 0 the A, B, C, D, E and F. So these are the pins that should be enabled to denote a 0 in the 7th segment. So A, B, C, D, E, F. But yeah, you can write it a value where what are the pins that should be enabled. So remaining 2 bits will be 0. So these 8 bits will be divided into 4, 0x, 3f for denoting 0. So but we are connected these 6 pins with port D and these 2 pins with port B. So we want to divide this 8-bit into 2 and 6. So first we are going to give this value, that means these two values should be given to port B. So how to divide that value and given to port B means we are looking at the last 2 bits, so we are ending with 0x0c, 0c0. Then we are going to shift the value because it is in a last 2, but we need it in a first 2 bit because we are connected in a first 2 bit of a port B. So we are going to shift this value 6 times. So this last two value will be attained here. So port B first two pins can be have these values. So we are shifting these values to the LSB. So this is called LSB, the least significant bit, and this is called MSB. Every data has a LSB and MSB. So we are going to shift the MSB to the LSB, so we can connect this pin as a port B pin. So for port D, we are going to use a similar logic. Only difference is what the value should be obtained and how much time it should be shifted. So you should calculate how to shift the data values and what value should be correctly in a position that you can get a correct answer. So we are going to see only the values 0x3f, because the last two values to attain to port B and remaining values will be port D. So I am going to shift these values 2 times, so you can get a correct connections here. So next thing we should do is that initialize our ports with the help of our function port initializations, and I'm going to output 0x 3f. So here you can see I have written a 0 here. So the 0 should be denoted with the help of sun segment, but it shows some wrong value. Why? So because it is a common anode, the one thing that changes is we should give a zeros to the pin that we want to glow. So 0, 0 and 0 and 0 and 0, 0, and this pin should be, that means the complement of this will be a common anode connections. This can be used for a common cathode because we want to give a 1, that means logic high to the pins. If you are going to give a logic low to the pins, then it is a common anode connections because the common point is connected with a 5 volt. Remember that thing, we are using a common anode connections, so we want to send a value of C0 in our port. So we are going to change a value here, C0. So now the 0 should be seen in the 7 segment. So here you can see the 0 is attained. So if you are going to use a common anode, this is a common anode connection. So if you are going to use a common cathode, so let me make a small difference in our code. Let me check if the common cathode is available in the OK simulation. Let me take a sun segment. So click this question mark. You can see whether what is available in the sun segment. Here you can see they are connected by default. The 7 segment is a common anode connection. If you want to use it as a common cathode, you want to set the attribute to cathode. So how to set the attributes means, here they have given an example. If you want to change the color, you want to change this code in the diagram section. So you can also use digits, number of digits. If you are going to use a 2 digit, you want to write a digits 2, digits 4. Then if you want to use a semicolon in between these two, then you can use a colon 1. These are the examples they have given, but the thing we need is we want to get a cathode here. So they have said that the common pin can be used as a cathode or anode. The default value is anode. So we want to change that value in our Arduino. So we are going to diagram, and here it's attribute. So we want to copy paste this as a template, and we can change the values in the. So if we press the Ctrl V, it will paste. So here I want to change common to cathode. So we are going to use it as a cathode, and also we are going to use a green. Okay, now we can check whether it is a common cathode or anode. So let me give a 5 volt to any of these pin. I already connected the common pin to the ground. That means this A should glow if it is a common cathode. So we have obtained a common cathode sun segment. So write a code to glow a value of 0 in a common cathode connection. So you can use the same code. So let me copy this code and make a small difference, so then it should work fine. The only difference I'm going to make it as 3F. So I'm going to make a ground connection to my common pin and making to connect the A pin with 2. So connect the 7 segment in the similar way as before. Now let us see our code works. Here you can see it is a common cathode connection, and we change the value of 0x3f here, and for common anode we have used 0xc0 because here we are going to make a values of 1 to the pins when common cathode is used. When common anode is used, we are using it as 0xc0. So this is the difference that the value should be written when we are using a common cathode and common anode. So this is the difference between common cathode and anode. So you can try any other programs, like if the switch is pressed, or you can count it from 0 to 1, and you can also make a value of 1 with the help of this. So we are only going to use B and C. So B and C will be 1 and all others are 0. So what will be the equivalent hexadecimal value? So 011C is 6 and 06. So 06 is for 1. So for common cathode you can use this 06. Then the 1 should be obtained in the 7 segment. Here you can see the 1 is denoted. You can also write a value for 2 and 3, and you can also use 4 and 5. For that you should calculate those values. You can table it in a separate sheet and you can give those values, and you can also run a counter from 0 to 10, 0 to 9, and you can also use a 2 7 segment, and you can have a 2 digit, and if you want a number of digits, use that much of 7 segment displays. So the next video we can see a new device which may be a LCD or maybe keypad. So keypad is another device which is similar to push buttons. So if you are well versed in the push buttons interconnection, how we connected 8 push buttons, you can learn the keypad easily. So in the next video we are going to see how to get the values from the keypads. So this is one of the output device other than LEDs. So keep on trying different problems and different ways. Let me give you some examples in the descriptions. So try those problems and you can share those links in your comments, and we can have a discussion about your projects. See you in the next video. Thank you.